5 months ago, we had the pleasure to interview the founder of one of Wallonia's fastest growing startup, Shift. Shift is an integration platform for software companies to connect to financial data.
Okay, if we do that only at night, we will never go fast enough, so I quit my job. When you have an idea, you don't have the final idea. The first idea is never what you do. I talk about work-life balance. It doesn't exist as an entrepreneur. Hi, I'm Gauthier, CEO and founder of Shift, and this is my startup story.
Before Shift, Gauthier had never created a business, and it was in university when he realized that was going to be his future.
So first experience, we call that primo entrepreneur in French. My parents are not at all entrepreneurs. I do not know a lot of entrepreneurs in my connections and personal network. And it's when I entered actually my master that I was in this entrepreneurship program. And this program was really nice because you meet a lot of entrepreneurs. It's not always well-known entrepreneurs. It's really like local entrepreneurs that launched a company. And there I was like, yeah, I want to do that.
So Gauthier and his roommate kept bringing the idea about starting a business together. Gauthier was an entrepreneur, but he didn't have an idea, so he knew he needed more experience first.
When you are a student, sometimes you see problems that are not really problem. Seems problem for a student, but you need to have more expertise.
To get more experience, Gauthier got involved with student organizations such as 1348, where the craft students sold their own beer to fund their activities. However, his most important experience came from work. Gauthier worked for 7 years before launching Shift at a consulting firm and an IT company.
In his first job at a consulting company, he realized he wasn't interested in a consulting career. However, he gained an understanding of how large corporations operate. He then joined an IT company as a salesperson to gain sales skills that he believed would be valuable for starting his own company.
After like 4 years, I think, I was like, okay, now I'm ready. I want to have my own business. But actually, it's this experience that gave me the expertise to talk about integration. Because thanks to that, I had to sell a CRM system that I had to integrate. Before that, I would have no idea that it was a problem.
Gauthier recognized that there was a need for a more efficient and cost-effective way to connect software, especially for small and medium-sized enterprises. He imagined a solution that would simplify integration, reducing the need for expensive service fees, and streamlining the process for businesses. This led him to the idea of creating a unified API focused on financial data.
We did a lot of test interviews. At first, we were still working in our previous job. We did that a bit at night. And then I was like, okay, if we do that only at night, we will never go fast enough. So I quit my job. So I met 100 people, software editors, integrators, whatever, and eventually we sold some services, let's say, to have some money, but we had no company yet. And eventually I met Virtuosa, Dominique Pellegrino, and Arthur Waller of Pennylane. So it's two different software that said something similar. So we did a PowerPoint and we said, guys, we'll do that, that, and that. And they said, okay, if you can build that, we sign. So we built it and they signed, and it was the start of our story. We actually created a company to invoice the first client.
For the first year, Shift didn't raise any money. They worked on perfecting their market fit, and they used the money coming from sales to run operations, while the co-founders, Henri and Mathieu, worked part-time.
Only after confirming the market for the unified API solution, they started fundraising. All the founders quit their jobs to focus on it full-time. This initial fundraising round, a pre-seed round, aimed at raising 1 million euros, but ultimately secured 400,000.
We wanted to have 1 million, and eventually they took us down, let's say, to 400K. That's a bit the Belgian mindset. We would have actually needed this 1 million, and actually our business plan was correct. So 1.5 years later, we reached everything that we set in the business plan, and to go a bit further, we would have needed this 1 million. But then we had to do another fundraising. We're almost profitable. At the time of the fundraise, we met quite a lot of demands. We want to go multi-country directly, so we really need to hire quite a lot of people. So we did the fundraising, the second fundraising, to be able to do that.
In the very early days of the company, there were many people that wanted to give advice, but Gauthier warns that not all advice is created equal.
There are a lot of advisors, but very little good ones. So there are a lot of people that advise startup, but they have never built a startup before. And in Belgium, we have a lot of people like that. You need people that have gone through the hassle of being an entrepreneur, to the really tough things, to be able to guide you properly. There are a lot of bad people saying that they advise startup because they have some expertise in business, but they haven't been in startup, they've been in big corporation, for example. It's very important to be around people that are going through the same thing as you are going through. So other startups, startup program are great for that.
The first incubator Shift participated in was the Started at KBC incubator, which gave them validation and an office space. Their second and arguably most important program they participated participated in was the Cegid program at Station F campus in Paris.
So our first idea was not going to Station F for the incubator. It was more going to Cegid to have access to the connector. Business-wise, it was very crucial for us. And then it opens actually a lot of things thanks to Station F. So Station F is a huge startup campus, but it's a campus. Then within the campus, you have 33 incubators if you want. So it's a bigger company that actually pay a place there to be able to incorporate some startup in Station F.
And so we asked, how does Gauthier feel about the value added by startup incubators and accelerators?
I would say that it's great at the beginning, but be careful of where you go, because sometimes people that have experience will say this is not good and this is good, but actually it's your company and you have seen maybe more than them in your sector. And so you know where you want to go. So it's very dangerous. You have to listen carefully to take the advice, but still you have to have your own vision. If we had only listened to people, we would be doing something else completely different.
So after establishing their initial business concept and securing some funding, the next challenge for Shift was the actual development of their technology. This involved a shift in their initial product idea and a constant process of iteration based on customer feedback.
When you have an idea, you don't have the final idea. At first you want to do something else, but eventually your first idea is never what you do, because by talking to customer, by implementing your idea, you feel new stuff, you understand new stuff.
Initially, the vision for Shift was to create a low-code platform that would enable people with no coding experience to build integrations. However, after numerous interviews with customers, it became clear that this wasn't the most pressing need.
By doing lots of interviews, we saw that it was not the best thing to do, that they were selling hours, so they were perfectly fine selling 100 hours of web integration, and they didn't really want to have such a platform.
Instead, they found a greater need for a unified API, particularly in the realm of financial data. This unified API would act as a multi-plug, allowing software developers to connect to various tools throughout a single integration.
We help software editors to actually connect to a lot of other tools. It's a multi-plug. They connect once to us and they're connected to a bunch of tools behind. And we do that through a unified API. That's the technical way of saying it.
You'll notice that this pivot towards a unified API was not based on any pre-existing plans, but rather on ongoing conversation with customers and market exploration. You remember that Shift created a PowerPoint presentation outlining the features of their proposed solution and generating a company buy-in first.
And the technology development of Shift continues to be guided by a combination of the initial vision and customer feedback. They actively listen to their customer needs, adding features that align with their vision and ignoring suggestions that don't fit their model.
You build on the customer demands and your vision. At the beginning, you don't have the full expertise, so you just build something for your needs, then you listen to the other needs, and then you filter, is it something in our vision or not? And you take only the ones that can add value to your platform. That's how we build the platform, actually.
As Shift grew, hiring became crucial to their continued success. Gauthier and his co-founders quickly realized that recruiting was one of the most challenging aspects of building their startup.
They believed that their friendly culture and attractive compensation would make it easy to attract talent. However, they found that potential candidates were hesitant to take the risk of joining a startup.
We had the problem that nobody came at the door knocking, I want to join you. And for me, it was like completely nonsense. But people actually, don't want to take the risk usually.
To overcome this challenge, Shift adopted a proactive approach, actively seeking out ideal candidates.
We write down who is the perfect profile, theoretically, and then we look on LinkedIn, okay, in which company would he be there? Okay, we reach out to them.
When evaluating potential hires, Shift prioritizes cultural fit over specific hard skills.
We look someone that is positive. That's one of the main things. You want to work with people that are positive, otherwise it's a headache. That are actually owner of what they do. So ownership is one of our values. You join a startup where everything needs to be built. You don't wait on instructions, you build. You can learn Python super easy, but you cannot change people who they are.
Despite being a European company, Shift initially focused on hiring locally in Belgium to build a strong core team. However, now they also hire internationally and remotely.
We are a remote-friendly company, so we can hire someone completely remote. We have somebody right now in France, 2 people in Ukraine that are really on the payroll. But at the really beginning, you want to feel the energy, and the culture is being built. For us, we were like, okay, we want to have people in the office.
Looking ahead, Shift has a clear vision for its future, particularly regarding its geographical focus and long-term goals. A key decision is whether to expand globally or to concentrate on Europe.
We made the bet to be European. It doesn't mean we'd never go to the US, but we'll first focus in Europe, and there is a ton of work to do.
They see the European market as scattered, with different connectivity requirements per country. Unintuitively, this is seen as an opportunity.
We have a competitor in the US, it's already quite a competitive market, and Europe is, for what we do, it's really scattered per country. If we would have done US directly, it will be compatible for US, UK, Australia, Canada. It's a way bigger market, that's why there is more competition. The connectivity we have for France is not the same that we need for Netherlands, so we need to build quite a lot for the Netherlands. So nobody is doing Europe, and there is a strong demand for Europe in what we do. And so our promise is really to be the pan-European company, because we help the software editor to enter new markets easily thanks to our pan-European connectivity.
This decision to focus on the European market doesn't rule out a move to the US at some point, but their commitment is to first establish a strong presence in the European market. As we'll explore at the end of this video, they believe that their European, in fact Belgian roots, and multilingual mindset give them a competitive advantage in achieving this goal.
In terms of their long-term goal, Shift aims to make software integration seamless and effortless for the end user. They acknowledge that there is a huge path to achieve this goal, but this is their ultimate objective. We asked Gauthier about his specific 5 to 10-year goals for Shift.
It's really launching countries that is important for us. But eventually what we want to do is that the end user can connect the software in one click.
Speaking of the long term, Gauthier also touched on the long-term commitment needed to build a successful company. He believes that it's essential to be in it for the long haul if you want to build something meaningful.
He also emphasizes that being an entrepreneur requires a significant personal commitment, often blurring the lines between work and personal life. He describes it as needing to find harmony between work and life rather than having work-life balance.
Your company becomes your life. You know, people talk about work-life balance, etc. It doesn't exist as an entrepreneur. We never talk about work-life balance as an entrepreneur. It's more like you need to find an harmony in that. And I mean by that, living the life at the fullest. You are at work at 100%, you come back home at 100%, sometimes difficult.
He explained that launching a startup is a major life change that would affect your personal life. For example, Gauthier postponed buying a house with his girlfriend to fund his startup. He also got married during the fundraising. It's not just his journey, it's his family's journey as well.
That's a bit the tricky thing when you're an entrepreneur. You are fully focused on something, and you need not to forget the family behind that actually helps you building the company. I was working since 1 year for Shift. I had no income. I worked for 7 years, so I had some money. I wanted to buy an apartment or a house with my girlfriend at the time. And there I said, sorry, but yeah, I'm launching the startup, so I need this money just to pay my bills. At the time I looked into the problem, I actually asked my girlfriend to marry me at the time. So it was the marriage thing, and then we had a child. During the fundraising, it was a bit tricky, but actually we bought a house. And so I always had a lot of personal things to handle and great things that brings a lot of joy. At the same time, you need to build a company. If you are good, you feel good in your job and you feel good personally, it's good. That's the harmony. But then sometimes you need to say no a bit to your job to get back to your family and the other way around. And so it's a bit difficult because sometimes people say, yeah, I'm working 10 hours a day, and they find that it's a lot. As an entrepreneur, you work more than that, but it doesn't feel like it's working because you work for your company. And so you're like, yeah, every hour that I put in there, it's incredible.
When asked about entrepreneurial spirit in Belgium, Gauthier shared his perspective on the current state and potential for growth.
I think what's a bit different in Belgium is that that's a bit of pity, but we have 2 Belgium.
He notes that while there is entrepreneurial spirit, it's somewhat fragmented. There isn't a strong Belgian ecosystem, but rather 2 separate ecosystems, one in the Dutch-speaking Flanders region and another in the French-speaking Wallonia region.
People don't talk to each other. The French tech is super strong. In Belgium, it's really separated between the French-speaking and the Dutch-speaking.
Gauthier points out that there's a lack of awareness and interaction between these 2 communities. For example, people in the French-speaking part of Belgium may not even be familiar with startups in the Flemish-speaking part, and vice versa.
He suggests that this division extends to the venture capital landscape, where investors know more about startups in their own region. Gauthier believes that there's a missed opportunity for collaboration and synergies by not having a more unified approach.
Even the VCs, sometimes they're like, okay, who is the good startup on the south, on the north, yeah. So I think it's quite scattered, and we have to work on building something broader because we really win being together. You see, our investor is actually a Ghent-based investor. We actually have a lot of clients in Flanders.
Additionally, Gauthier compares the risk profile of Belgian investors with that of other countries. He noticed that Belgian VCs tend to focus more on past performance rather than future potential, unlike VCs from the US or the UK who tend to prioritize future growth potential.
So for example, in Belgium, they're really looking into everything, as an accountant, I would say. Whereas in the US, it's more like they see the potential further and they invest not on what you have done in the past, but what you can achieve in the future. Here in Belgium, we really felt with some VC that we couldn't really talk with them because they were already saying, I don't know, you are too expensive, whatever. And when we discussed with UK VC, they were saying, guys, you do not raise too much. We cannot even enter your seed because it's not enough for us.
Gauthier also feels that universities could do more to promote entrepreneurship, noting that students in business programs often aspire to become consultants rather than entrepreneurs.
I went actually to a course at the UCL at the university. It was a business management course for people that are actually quite intelligent, let's say. And most of them wanted to go to Bain & Company, McKinsey. And for me, it's completely incredible to think that today, why not? Some people need to go there, but if the vast majority go there, it means that there is a lack of reach. So those students do not see properly in their university the startup stories and how it can be great for the career.
He also touches on the lack of financial support for entrepreneurs. He notes that in France, for example, there are systems in place to ensure some financial security for entrepreneurs.
With programs like the ACRE, eligible startups get social charge exemptions, and this scheme lets entrepreneurs access unemployment benefits as a lump sum to help start their business. Plus, there's the auto-entrepreneur status, which makes it super simple to start a business with low initial taxes.
Gauthier also notes that ecosystems grow on the success of strong players, and in Wallonia, there have been fewer successful tech startups compared to Flanders. So to wrap up the story, we asked, what makes Belgium a good place for entrepreneurs?
Here in Belgium, we can say a lot of things about the entrepreneurship culture, etc. But we speak already 3 languages. Let's say in the mindset, we are already completely European. It's in your DNA. See, we are here in Brussels. French people think that we're French. Now we go to the Netherlands. Yeah, we speak the language, so it's super easy for us.
So that's the story of Shift. From an initial idea to a growing European company, Shift's journey is a great example of the dedication and adaptability needed to be a successful entrepreneur, and it highlights the importance of a long-term commitment to achieve meaningful goals.
We hope this story has provided you some insight and inspiration, whether you are an aspiring entrepreneur or simply interested in the world of startups. Please leave us a comment below and tell us what do you think. And don't forget to subscribe for more startup stories.